You're working hard every day. Raising a child must be exhausting, right? Take a break sometimes. Really? Thank you. A kind husband who cares about me, exhausted from my first experience of parenting. After fertility treatments, we were finally blessed with a daughter who just turned 2 months old. Even though I was anxious about leaving my daughter, who I always put to sleep beside me, for even a short time, I knew I couldn't keep going like this. I'll take you up on that offer. Grateful to my husband, I got ready and went out to enjoy shopping for the first time in a long while. I was deeply thankful to him. That was until I casually checked the baby monitor on my smartphone during my shopping trip. I was speechless at the scene displayed on the screen and ran to the police. My name is Brittany, 35 years old. I am a corporate employee at a publicly listed company, currently on maternity leave. I married Matt, who is a year older than me, in my mid-20s. We were relatively early among our peers to get married, but we had difficulty having children. It seems we failed again. We're still young, there's no need to rush. It will happen eventually. Don't be so disappointed. Initially, we both thought that we would naturally have children eventually. But as more than 5 years passed, we began to feel anxious. Thinking it was time to see a gynecologist, I discussed it with my husband. Hey, I'm thinking of going to the gynecologist for a checkup. They said it's better if both the husband and wife come. After all, if we don't know where the problem lies, we can't proceed with fertility treatments, right? Huh, I have to go too? I don't think there's a problem on my side, though. If that's the case, then it's just a matter of timing, which is fine. Please. After convincing my hesitant husband, we both went for the checkup. The result was that there was no issue with my husband. My body didn't have any problems either, but it seemed my ovulation was unstable. Shall we consider using ovulation-inducing drugs? Yes, please. Approaching 30, I decided to undergo fertility treatment. I visited the gynecologist every month, taking medication and injections according to my menstrual cycle. But getting pregnant was challenging. You know. Maybe it's okay to stop trying so hard? Don't you want children? I want a child with you. I knew my husband was concerned about me. However, I couldn't easily stop the treatment I had decided on. Additionally, when I started receiving fertility treatment, it was not covered by insurance. The burden of treatment costs over the years was heavy, and I was close to giving up. Luckily, fertility treatment became covered by insurance last year. I decided to try a little harder. One day, feeling a change in my body, I bought a pregnancy test from the pharmacy and tried it at home. The result was positive. With my heart pounding, I made an appointment for a checkup at the gynecologist. Congratulations! Your efforts have paid off. According to the gynecologist, I was about 3 months pregnant. That night, I reported to my husband who had just come home. That's great. So, I'm going to be a father. I have to work harder. My husband, who had just started his own company and was beginning to see success, was happy for us. Since then, my husband started coming home late more often. I thought it was understandable since his work was finally taking off. Sorry. I couldn't prepare dinner. It's okay, it's okay. I'll grab something to eat outside, so don't worry about it. I was relieved by my husband's thoughtfulness, as he said this knowing I couldn't even prepare dinner due to severe morning sickness. I had complete trust in him. Sorry, but I've got work this Sunday, so I'll be out. The client is far away, so I'll be staying overnight. Like that, my husband increasingly had to leave home. I believed he was doing all this for our forthcoming child and never doubted him. As the due date approached and I entered the final month of pregnancy, I asked him, Hey, will you be there for the birth? I plan to be, but I can't predict how work will be. There's nothing much I can do about that. Try not to schedule anything, okay? Despite our jokes, when labor started, my husband was at work. He didn't respond to my messages. He only got in touch after the birth was over. I gave birth to a beautiful girl. I was moved by her smallness when I met her for the first time. I wondered if newborn babies were always this tiny. She's so cute. He couldn't be there for the moment of birth, but seeing our newborn daughter. He murmured those words. Even after we returned home, he often smiled tenderly at our daughter. I planned to take a year-long maternity leave after my maternity leave ended. I found giving birth in my mid-30s physically challenging. I took care of the child and managed household chores from morning till evening. Even though he saw me struggling, my husband didn't help with childcare, he just occasionally played with our daughter. I felt tired and sluggish, possibly due to postpartum fatigue. Lately, I've been feeling really tired and sluggish. Maybe it's my age. Hearing this, my husband unexpectedly said, "Next Sunday, I'll take care of her, so why don't you go out and shop at your leisure? Then, I'll take you up on that offer." Are you sure you'll be okay? Of course. I'm a father, after all. Trusting his words, I decided to go shopping for the first time in a while. And then Sunday came. I got ready, putting on makeup, and said, "I'll be going now. Take good care of her." Although I was anxious about leaving my daughter, who I hadn't been apart from for even a moment since her birth. For any amount of time, I was grateful for my husband's gesture. Walking through the nearby shopping mall, I realized how much the fashion had changed while I had been busy with childcare at home. It's the change of seasons. I feel a bit left behind. I felt deeply about the changed atmosphere of the streets, which I would have normally passed without a second thought. I wonder how things are at home. I opened an app on my smartphone. Thinking ahead, I had installed a camera in the room with my daughter's crib. I had set it up so I could check the image and sound in real time from my smartphone. Just as I thought, can't be helped though. The image showed my daughter sleeping peacefully in her crib, and my husband sleeping on the sofa with his mouth wide open. I had told my husband about installing the camera for babysitting, but he had responded indifferently, likely forgetting about it. Thinking it was fine since my daughter seemed to be sleeping happily. I was about to let it go when a young woman I didn't recognize appeared from the side of the screen. Huh? Who's that? I was confused. Could it be a burglar? Did he forget to lock the door? For a burglar, she was walking around the house too boldly and dressed too neatly. There was nothing secretive about her movements. The next moment, the woman picked up the daughter and smiled warmly. "My precious daughter is going to be taken away. Hurry. Notice and stop her." I was filled with a desire to scream at my smartphone. When Matt woke up, far from stopping her, he hugged her from behind and whispered in her ear, "Cute, isn't she? Looks like me." Although it was a whisper and I couldn't hear it clearly, it seemed like his lips moved in that manner. She's your child, after all. I want to raise her together with you soon. I also want to raise this child with Jessica. Don't worry, it'll be settled with my wife soon. Is everything going smoothly? Yeah. She hasn't noticed anything. Their conversation was clearly audible. Just a little longer, and it'll be over. Wait for me. Yeah. I wished it were a lie. However, it was a sad reality. That's right. I should consult the police. Somehow calming my confused mind, I rushed to the nearest police station. I showed the officer the situation of my husband. and his affair partner through the video playback on my smartphone. They are indeed saying some dangerous things. But it's unclear what exactly they mean. This woman might just be a friend who happened to visit. Why not talk to your husband if it really bothers you? That made me consider the possibility of jumping to conclusions. My husband could have friends I don't know about. And once I start doubting, there's no end to it. Understood. Thank you very much. Contact us anytime if something happens. I left the police station and went home for the time being. I'm home. Were you a good girl? I spoke to my sleeping child with an exaggerated reaction.
Yeah.
She was surprisingly quiet, kind of anticlimactic. But you've been doing great with the daily childcare. Did you enjoy your break today? He was acting as usual, seemingly unaware of what I had seen. Did anyone come over while I was gone? No, nobody came over, but why? My husband lied. If he had admitted someone visited, my doubts might have been cleared. But he chose to hide the visit. That means he thinks it's something I shouldn't know about. No. Just asking. It's nothing. I also pretended to be unaware. The next day, after seeing my husband off to work, I rewatched the entire recording I had made. It was indeed the scene of my husband's affair, as I thought. The two of them were embracing boldly next to our child's crib. I felt nauseated beyond sadness. Hey, which one do you like more, me or your wife? Obviously, the younger Jessica. That woman past her prime is of no use to me anymore. Such conversations were unfolding. How's that plan going? It seemed they were planning something against me.
Yeah.
I'll handle it smoothly without getting caught. It'd be pointless if it got out. With a lecherous smile, completely different from the one he showed me. My husband grinned. This was his true nature. I was furious with myself for not realizing it all this time. She thinks the sluggishness in her body is because her physical strength hasn't returned after giving birth. That's our chance. What does he mean by that? Isn't my body's sluggishness due to postpartum effects? But you've thought it through well, haven't you? The young woman in the video said, impressed. Unaware of what was being done to me, I trembled with fear. Cautiously, I searched my husband's room but, as expected, found nothing suspicious. Obviously, you wouldn't just leave incriminating evidence lying around. For now, based on the only evidence I had, the video, I decided to hire a detective agency to investigate my husband. It was nerve-wracking to use a detective agency for the first time. But the person in charge kindly listened to my concerns. A month later, I was notified that the investigation was complete. To avoid my husband finding out, I decided to pick up the investigation report myself. The contents of the report left me shocked. It revealed a side of my husband I didn't know. The woman in the video turned out to be a worker at a nightclub, and she was quite popular there. I had never imagined my husband frequented such places. I had always thought he was dedicated to his work since he started his own company. It seems your husband started visiting this club about a year ago. Around the time I found out I was pregnant. Indeed, since then, he started coming home late, working overnight more often, and spending less time at home on weekends. He said it was because he was busy with work, and I believed him. Feeling betrayed all at once was frustrating. Also, it appears your husband's company isn't performing well. Hearing this was even more surprising. Whenever I asked, my husband always said work was going well. I decided to play a trick on him the following Sunday to catch him in the act. Then, the day arrived. My parents want to see their granddaughter, so I'm going to visit them for a bit. All right, you'll be back tonight? That's the plan. Then, I'll prepare dinner tonight. Co? Thank you. What's gotten into you? I know you've been having a hard time with all the housework and childcare. I can cook too, you know. If only his kindness were genuine, how happy I would have been. It was clear that once I was gone, that woman would come over. I didn't want to leave my precious daughter, almost 3 months old, in such a situation. I left my daughter with my parents and monitored the surveillance camera on my smartphone. Matt seemed unaware of the camera's existence. Soon, that woman arrived and began getting cozy with my husband on the other side of the screen. I saved this video as evidence for later compensation claims. Despite not wanting to watch, I kept my eyes glued to the screen to not miss any indisputable evidence. At my husband's request, or so it seemed, the woman reluctantly started cooking. He said he would prepare it, yet he planned to serve me something made by his affair partner. I was furious. The woman appeared to be making pasta. My husband brought another pot, divided the pasta, and mixed something from a jar into it. Securing that jar and the contents of the pot could be crucial evidence. I timed my return home to when the woman was likely to leave. Welcome back. That was quick. Where's the kid? She fell asleep, so I decided to leave her at my parents' house for today. I see. I made pasta. You're going to eat, right? He went to the kitchen and brought out a plate of pasta for me. You've got a bigger portion there. I'm really hungry, let's swap. No sooner had I said it, I swapped the plates in front of my husband with mine. Matt seemed about to say something, but what's wrong? Is something the matter? I started eating the pasta without waiting for an answer. And he fell silent, saying, no. It's nothing. Aren't you going to eat? Hi.
Yeah.
I'm not that hungry right now, I'll eat later. Considering that, the first serving of pasta you brought was quite large. Wasn't it? Why is that? Just out of habit, I guess. I'll have the pasta left in the pot tested, along with the one you served. What do you mean? I saw you adding something to the pasta pot. Matt looked at me, his eyes wide with shock. Didn't I tell you? I installed a camera for babysitting. As I said this, Matt lunged at me. Just then, the doorbell rang. Matt stopped in his tracks. I took the opportunity to open the door and let in the person outside. The one who rang the doorbell was a police officer, whom I had contacted from my smartphone on my way home. Matt, attempting to flee, was apprehended on the spot by the officer. The police investigation found a substance called arsenic in the pasta. The same substance was detected in the jar Matt had. It seems he had been secretly mixing it into my food and drinks little by little, without my noticing, and this was partly to blame for my physical ailments. Panicked that his plan to weaken me gradually wasn't working as fast as he'd hoped, Matt decided to serve me a pasta laced with a lethal dose. Jessica, the woman involved, had been scamming money from other patrons at the nightclub too. And my naive husband had been an easy target for her. Of course, I filed for damages against her. It was only right since she conspired with my husband to harm me. I had a significant life insurance policy, and it seems he planned to use that to cover his company's debts and make a comeback. However, poisoning me would not only prevent the insurance from paying out but also lead to his arrest. I can't understand why my husband would do something so obviously doomed to failure. I divorced him and returned to my parents' house with my daughter. His parents expressed their desire to atone for their son's actions by offering to pay compensation and child support. They assured me not to worry about the money, as Matt would take responsibility for it once he was released from prison. My maternity leave is almost over. It's been a challenging year, but I plan to live strongly with my daughter from now on.